On today's episode of the Cryptoverse, the Brave browser integrates Tor for Uber privacy. High Fidelity, a company, raises $35 million to integrate VR to create social VR, and they're going to do that via blockchain technology. And rumor has it that Facebook may be wanting to buy Coinbase. It's just a rumor. Let's look into it a little bit. So all of that on today's episode of the Cryptoverse. You're going to stay right there because I've not rolled the intro. I've already done it. So let's just get straight into it, shall we? Let's go to the story about the Brave browser. This comes straight from brave.com on their blog. They're pretty good at their announcements, very consistent in their updates, very consistent in their project developments. So this says Brave browser introduces a beta version with private tabs for Tor for enhanced privacy while browsing. They give us a little screenshot there showing the Tor functionality. It says, today we're releasing our latest desktop software, the Brave Browser 0.23 version, which features private tabs with Tor, a technology for defending against network surveillance. So I'm sure you've heard of Tor, T-O-R. It stands for the onion router, or router if you're American. And it basically, when it says root, it means onion, meaning it wraps it in layers and layers and layers. That's where the onion comes from. And the routing bit is literally the route that your request takes. So if your computer requests a website over there, which may be hosted in Japan, and I'm in the UK, from my computer, it has to first of all take a trip, like on the roads. It has to go through this wire and this wire to my internet service provider, and then to the next nearest service provider, and go all across the world until it eventually hits the request on the Japanese server, and then it responds and it has to make all its way back again. So the idea is, if you can scramble that route and make it very, very convoluted, then whoever's at the other end or anyone in between won't be able to figure out who it is that's making the original request. A, because it's routed in a crazy way, and B, because it's onion wrapped in lots and lots of layers of encryption, so it just scrambles the whole thing. So only you can unscramble that, being the original requester. So the Tor browser, the Tor project, is a thing, so you can download the Tor browser independently and use it. However, Brave is much easier to use and also has all of the ad blocking features, and it has that ability up and coming where you can earn cryptocurrency whenever an ad pops up on a web page. So just a quick background for anyone who isn't up to speed. So back to the post then. Private tabs with Tor are easily accessible from the file menu by clicking the new private tab with Tor button. I've tested this out for myself. I immediately downloaded the latest version of Brave browser and played with the functionality. You just click the menu button, and then you have the options of like new regular tab, new private tab, or new private Tor tab. And the beautiful thing is you can have a whole mix of them. So most people have a whole bunch of tabs open in their browser at any one time, and you can have any mix of regular tabs, private tabs, and Tor tabs. So pretty good stuff if you ask me. So moving on. That's the problem with doing live streams. You can't avoid those kinds of things, sorry. Moving on. The next bit I've highlighted here is private tabs with Tor. By default, they use the DuckDuckGo search engine. This is the search engine I've personally been using for the last 3 or 4 years. I haven't used Google hardly ever in the last 3 or 4 years. Maybe I use Google Maps every now and again, but for my default searches, I just use DuckDuckGo anyway, because DuckDuckGo are a privacy-centric company. They don't log your search history or do any kind of shenanigans like that. The article here also says that in addition, Brave is continuing to back the Tor network by running Tor relays. We are proud to be adding bandwidth to the Tor network and intend to add more bandwidth in the coming months. So you know that routing thing that I just talked about, where from my computer to Japan, in my case, in just the example, you have to find a convoluted route. Well, it relies on a whole bunch of relay nodes in the middle who have good security practices, so that, because what you don't want is to relay through a server that then can open up the onion and see you're in there. So who you relay through, and particularly what they call the exit node, which is the one at the end, they definitely don't want to reveal your IP address or your identity. So it relies on, people with brave people, not brave in particular, but people with courage who have network expertise to run these exit nodes and provide that service to the Tor network. So Brave are kind of putting their money where their mouth is. They're not just integrating Tor into their software, they're also contributing servers and bandwidth to the Tor network. I mean, that is, take it from me, that is a big contribution. I mean, big. I mean, that's real. I mean, I can't even fault these guys. The project just gets better and better, the Brave project and the basic attention token. So finally, there's the Tor metrics that they quote here. It says, just bear this in mind, this is a beta version, so there are still some known issues and leaks which they intend to fix in future versions. So don't go using the Brave browser. You shouldn't use the Brave browser for anything illicit anyway. But if you want to be 100% certain that your privacy is protected, you can't have 100% certainty either way. But just bear in mind, this is a beta version. It's not perfect. There may be still some leaks and so on in there until it's a full release. It says, for users who currently require leak-proof privacy, we recommend using the actual Tor browser, which is at torproject.org. And I'll post a link to this source in the sources for this video, so you can click through to the Tor website, download the actual Tor browser in its current version, and that should be a lot safer. And then it says, our user-first approach aims to standardize a privacy by default model that gives users ownership of their data and online experience, and Tor integration via these private tabs vastly contributes to our platform. So I like companies when they behave what I call on brand. So Brave it's a privacy-centric company. That's when you think Brave, when you think of the Brave brand, you think privacy and user centricity. And so everything that they do, every behavior they exhibit should be in line with that, right? It shouldn't be like, well, that's weird. It shouldn't feel like that about anything that they do. If every move that Brave makes is a privacy-centric move, you go, yeah, of course, it's Brave, right? You know what I mean? Like if Nike did anything that wasn't sports-oriented, it would be kind of weird. So that's what I mean by on-brand. And these guys are congruent in every sense of the word. So that was a piece of news that I thought I've got to talk about today. Hi there to you guys in the chat there. Hey, the EOS Nation ambassador guy, Thierry, his name, and MS91232. Good morning to you. What do you say there? NS James should start building a scatter add-on for the Brave browser. That's a good point. That is a very good point. That is actually a very good point indeed. Yeah, why doesn't he do that? The reason I don't use Brave more than I do is because I use RoboForm as my password manager a lot. And at the moment, RoboForm don't have a Brave plugin, right? So I'm still using Google Chrome because of that. Let's move on to story number 2, which is High Fidelity raises $35 million with the goal of bringing VR, quote, to 1 billion people, close quote. And they're doing this by leveraging blockchain technology. That's my words. So they want to do this social VR. Imagine all these virtual worlds. And they talk about this virtual nightclub in the article, which we'll get to in just a second, where you can hang out in VR, interacting with real people, but in VR, right? So rather than just being in VR in a virtual world on your own, interacting with AI characters, you can close the distance between you and anybody in VR, right? So that's the social VR aspect. And you can imagine there's all these disconnected virtual worlds. How do you get the social interaction across virtual worlds? Blockchain technology may be the answer, because you could reconcile that on a public ledger, whatever information you wanted to store, synchronize it, get consensus amongst all of the social VR worlds, and that connects them together, kind of like inter-blockchain communication, but inter-VR world communication. So this comes from venturebeat.com, which isn't primarily a crypto outlet, but it's a crypto story nonetheless. So they've raised 35 mil for their open source platform for building distributed social virtual reality worlds. The platform leverages blockchain technology to enable VR developers to create linkable experiences. That's exactly what I just described. Linkable experiences. That's going to be huge, because it takes VR from being just a siloed country of its own to linking everything together, right? So the funding comes at a time when VR is struggling for the attention of consumers and gamers, it says. I've got a HTC Vive. I paid a ridiculous amount of money for it because it was, it's what happens when it first comes out. You pay to be an early adopter, don't you? And then when the Vive Pro came out, they dropped the price of the regular Vive. So I was like, oh, well, that's just the cost of being first. So I only use it sparingly, to be honest. I should probably use it more than I do because it is hella fun. And every time I use it, it always reminds me of how amazing it is. But it's just by the personal story. So that's probably maybe why it's struggling. I don't know. Maybe the whole rig of a HTC Vive with the lighthouses and all the you need space. Mobile VR with smartphones is obviously the mainstream version of it. Back to the story though. It says here, like many visionary VR fans, High Fidelity wants to usher in the metaverse, or the universe of virtual reality world. So that's what they're going to call it. This connection, say if you've got these little VR communities, connecting them all together with the metaverse, as they would call it, almost like the Cryptoverse, I suppose, which is why I called it that, because it's like everything in the Cryptoverse. So here's a picture of the VR nightclub, dance club thing that they talked about. I think the journalist actually attended this, who wrote this article, attended this nightclub. So there's this guy, Ross. This is Rossdale's track record. This is CEO of High Fidelity, Philip Rossdale. And he says here that they won the round of funding. They won the confidence of Galaxy Digital's EOS Ecosystem Fund. They got new investor Blockchain Capital and existing investors Bayer Capital, IGG Capital Partners, and Vulcan Capital. That's the interesting bit. Galaxy Digital, do you remember that people were like, what's Block One going to do with all this money they raised in the EOS token sale? And they said, announcing EOS VC, where they're going to break up $1 billion and give it to venture capital companies who can then invest it in EOS-oriented projects. So High Fidelity have won some of that money from Galaxy Digital, who are one of the appointed venture capital partners. So some of the ICO money that's been given to Galaxy Digital has then been passed on to High Fidelity, because High Fidelity are like, right, we're a VR company, we're going to start using blockchain technology, and one of the conditions for getting some of the EOS VC money is you have to build it onto EOS, right? EOS. People criticize me for the way I pronounce that sometimes. So on that very point, in the blue bit, Galaxy Digital will guide us. Oh, this is a quote actually from this fellow, Philip Rossdale. Galaxy Digital will guide us capably in adopting that technology and creating the right partnerships with the larger blockchain ecosystem. For example, the EOS blockchain, we are currently testing in beta integrations. There we go. So they have to comply with the conditions of their financing, don't they? So I think that's all I've highlighted in the article. Yep. There's lots more to that article, but I've picked out what I believe to be the pertinent details. And of course, if you want to read the whole thing, check the link in the sources. The third news story today, before I move on to the market roundup, is Facebook reverses cryptocurrency ban amidst rumors of Coinbase acquisition. Rumors. So this comes from Bitcoin Magazine. The headline is exactly as I just described it. So Facebook has reversed its blanket ban on cryptocurrency ads and will now allow pre-approved crypto businesses to advertise. However, ICOs and binary options are still prohibited. And they say that the reason they did a blanket ban was just to stop everything so they could study it and then reintroduce, specific companies who can advertise once they've got their head around what's a scam and what isn't a scam. But the rumor only warrants a final paragraph here in the article, which says the reversal comes at a time when rumors are circulating that Facebook may be looking to acquire Coinbase in a buyout, but nothing is concrete for now. If the rumors are substantiated, Facebook's acquisition of Coinbase would likely give the industry a buff to its legitimacy. Would it? Coinbase was already founded by certain ex-Goldman Sachs vice presidents, I believe. So I don't think the crypto space at large would take kindly to Facebook acquiring it. You know what I mean? I personally, if Facebook acquires Coinbase, I probably won't use Coinbase anymore, right? We don't want that kind of stuff in the crypto space, do we now? I don't think people see the news positively whenever Facebook makes a move into the crypto space, because the crypto space is primarily against behaviors that Facebook have engaged in, aren't they? So we just assume that Facebook and these big conglomerates are going to bring their bad behavior into the crypto space. It's probably on that basis that we say, no, thank you. We don't want you. So, hello Captain Mango, how you doing? What's up with Tron? Any updates? Yes, they've launched their mainnet, I believe, but that's not on the news roster for today. I'm going to do a market roundup now. So, let's go over to, I'm going to go over to, well, I'll go to CoinMarketCap first. Unfortunately, I woke up this morning to a $236 billion total market cap, which is a little bit on the low side. Pretty much red across the board, single digit losers. Let's do biggest winners and biggest losers. We've got Ethos, that sort of decentralized multi-currency version of Coinbase, which has its own token, is up 16%. 10x, which I'll do a chart reading of in a sec, is up 13%. So there are some winners, right? It's not completely red across the board. There are some serious double-digit losers though, like Dragon Chain and Qcoin shares, which is a surprise to me. Qcoin shares, Qcoin being an exchange, right? And I believe those. I've got some Qcoin shares. You earn like part of the trading fees if you hold them. And the reason I say it's a surprise that Qcoin shares are down is because the Binance coin has been doing really well recently, even in the down market. So what gives, you know? Anyway, let's have a look at the Bitcoin price chart. Let's go over here. I might have to reload my indicators. Just give me 1 second here while I reload my indicators. There it is. Right, over we go. So I'm going to put Bitfinex on the Bitcoin against the dollar price. And I've got a few notes on the Bitcoin chart here. Let's get right up in there. I've drawn the next support level, right, which I believe to be 5,400. So if I take a horizontal line here and I stick it on the chart, and then if I put the coordinates in exactly at 5,400, that's 2,400, I hope not. And then there we go. Let's just lock it like I normally do. So you see where we are now, just dipping below 6,000, not great. So watch the 5,400 mark. If I go back to say, I think it's October, November of 2017. So April, oh my goodness, it's going to take me a while, isn't it? So all the way back here. Here we go. So this is the line I'm talking about. Let's make it uber thick so you can see what I'm talking about. This, to me, is the previous support. So if we're dipping below 6,000, 5,400 is the next logical support line for me, because this was the support prior to the October, November 2017 run up to 20k, right? Now, also, by the way, if you haven't watched my, I've called the videos called like broad analysis of Bitcoin, which I uploaded the other day. If you haven't seen that already, I encourage you to go back and watch it, because I featured this section of the Bitcoin chart, the first run up to 6k and the breakout to 20k, and I talked all about that. Now, more recently, 57.33 I think is the lowest we've hit. Let's go right back up to the modern moment. So here, these swing lows I'm looking at. One of these is like 70. The low of the day is, that's 57.55. There's 57.73. So 57.55. Yeah, $5,755 is a low there. So that's recently that's actually the lowest we've hit in 2018, and we're hanging around still below 6,000 at time of recording. So there's nothing I can really see on the charts that would suggest Bitcoin is breaking out of this downtrend. I mean, just if you look at the Bitcoin chart from, let's have a look at it like this. If you look at it from this point of view, this is just a perfect ongoing downtrend. Downtrend line, downtrending moving averages, 50 moving average below the 200. Nice cyclical, you say nice, but technically nice cyclical movement through the phase 1 and phase 2 movements, setting lower highs and lower lows. And now we're down below 6,000. There's the previous low at that, whatever we just said, 5,755. We pull back to the 50 moving average on the 4 hour, and then this move down. If we break that low, it's just going to continue the downtrend. And again, that's just purely looking at the charts. I don't know what to tell you. I hope 6k does hold, but I mean, that means nothing, does it? You know, like I said on that video about broad Bitcoin analysis, what I want to happen and hope, that's not a valid analysis, right? It's that's that projection, seeing what we want to see thing, which we've got to be very careful of. One thing that was interesting is 10x pay token is the contrarian. So check this out. If I go back to the charts here, put in PAY into the search box, I'm going to use Bittrex and Bitcoin as the counter, or the counterpart. So yes, pay token has been in a downtrend, just like everything else. However, look at this. From the 27th of, which was 2 days ago, boom, for some reason, the 10x pay token has moved up quite a bit. And there's been some selling activity there, like you can see these big heads on the candles, but even then it's still pushing higher, even today. It hasn't broken that recent high, but it's now chilling around 953 Satoshis, having hit a high of 9,553 is right now, having hit a high of 9,848. So if you hold some 10x pay tokens, if you wanted to scale out right now, you could sell into those rallies if you want to. I'm not going to take a user request today because no matter what chart you look at, they all look pretty much the same. So until the Bitcoin chart starts looking better, there's no real point. So final thing I'll do is Deutsche Bank watch, which we haven't done in a little while. So check this out. The key point we were looking at was to keep an eye on Deutsche Bank shares. The closer they get to $10, the more dangerous it is. And as you can see here, serious downtrend on the daily chart. Moving averages moving down, price continuing to fall, and right now a new low at around $10.47. The low from yesterday was $10.36. So eking ever closer to that $10 danger zone. That's why I like to keep an eye on that, because cryptos do not exist in a vacuum. So that's all I've got in terms of prepared notes and content. I'll stick around for a few minutes just to do some chat interaction with you folks, and then I'll play out. So we've got any questions? What's up with Tron? I kind of mentioned that question. Say a block producer, this is an EOS oriented question. Say a block producer gets voted out. Okay. He's then disgruntled for whatever reason. Okay. Can he or they do harm to the EOS network and user accounts in any form? That's a very, very good question. That comes from How I Made. That's the person's username. So a block producer gets voted out, they're really pissed off about it, and they try and attack the network. There's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do at all. Even if they were one of the top 21 block producers and they were disgruntled, they still can't really do anything, right? The only thing they could do if they got voted out was dump all their EOS tokens, right, to try and drop the price, but that's no more power than any other market participant with a lot of tokens, right? So that's all they could really do, quite frankly. It's a good question, though. Final question from MS91232. Chris, do you think, since most upcoming airdrops are based on the Genesis snapshot, this is another EOS question, this will be a bit of a disincentive for new EOS buyers to come in? They will miss out on all the airdrops, right? Well, it's not an extreme thing, is it? They won't miss out on all the airdrops, right? Because you flipped there. You said, since most of the upcoming airdrops, and then you say they will miss all the airdrops. So no, they won't miss all the airdrops, because I've got a sheet here. You might have missed this on my. You need you guys to follow me. You guys need to follow me on Twitter, because there's so much that is missed out of the videos, because there's just so much news out there right now. I have to pick very specific things to include in the videos. So for all the other incidental content, follow me on Twitter, because you'll get it. One of the things that I tweeted out was this spreadsheet, which I didn't create, by the way. I'll put this in the sources for you as well. This is a list of all the EOS airdrops. And the column you want to pay attention to is the airdrop column, the snapshot column, and the registration column. So you're right. In the snapshot column, it says here, Genesis in most of them, right? Just as a visual inspection, that looks like 60 to 70% of them require the Genesis snapshot. However, some of them don't, right? And it just depends on the project and what they choose to do. You bring up a good point for debate, though. you say, is it a disincentive for new EOS buyers to come in? I suppose so. You still get, I mean, it's a bonus anyway. The airdrops are a bonus anyway. So you still might want to buy EOS for its speculative value, or because you want to use the network for free transactions, or if you want to vote, right? So they're all of the intrinsic benefits of holding an EOS token, and getting an airdrop, you know, it's just a bonus, really. So there is still the incentive of buying and holding EOS tokens to get the airdrops that happen, you know, outside of the Genesis snapshot. So that's always there. The incentive just isn't as big as it was prior to the Genesis snapshot. So it just depends on how many new projects decide to airdrop on token holders as they exist now, right? Well, very good question. Thanks for the EOS questions. But there we go. That's all I've got for you today. So if you like this episode, go ahead, hit the like button. If you want to give me some feedback, if you're watching the recording of this, leave it down in the comments below. Follow me on Steemit if you want to get tipped for your comments. That's always good. I'll tip you on Steem by upvoting your comment if you have a good one. And if you would like more detailed information on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains, you can check out my suite of online courses. So if you want to learn how blockchain technology works under the hood, check out the Digital Money Revolution course. If you want to learn how to make and save money with Bitcoin and use it practically and you don't really care about the tech, check out the Secrets of the Bitcoin Triangle course. And if you don't care about any of that stuff and you just want to learn how to trade in and out of cryptocurrencies to make money, check out my third course, which is the Master Cryptocurrency Trader. Alright guys, thanks for joining me in the chat today. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll be back with the next episode of the Cryptoverse. Until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.